My grandpa started a fight in a pickup basketball game. Middle school birthday party. My mom rents out part of this rec center called Sports of All Sorts, a couple bowling lanes, and a basketball court. And all week leading up to my birthday party, my grandpa was joking, like, I'm going to play basketball with you and your friends. I'm going to play some basketball with you and your friends. Well, turns out I had 5 of my buddies who were there that wanted to play basketball when we needed a 6th. We're out there, we start shooting around, and no joke, here comes my grandpa, both knee braces strapped on, in his athletic shoes. He's ready to go. So we're like, okay, we'll split the teams up evenly, And at first, I think everyone was kind of thinking we'll take it easy on my grandpa. Well, he was in his like mid 60s at the time. He's probably 65, 66. And I think growing up, everyone has that friend in their group who it's not that they're not a good kid or a nice person, but they're just a little bit soft, kind of a crybaby, that type of tattletale vibe. And that was this kid we'll call Detard. Detard is like 6'3", 6'2" in 8th grade. So he's a big, tall kid and just wasn't, he hadn't grown into his body yet, so he wasn't very coordinated. And he's guarding my grandpa. So it's me and my buddy GT against these 2 other kids and Detard. So Detard's guarding my grandpa when we start playing. And jokingly, we throw the ball into the block because my grandpa's posted up. So we throw the ball down to the block just to see what my grandpa's going to do. And my grandpa's like 5'11", 6 foot at the most. And he, no joke, shoulder check, shimmy, spin, hook shot off the backboard. And we're like, oh, let's go. No joke, 3 possessions in a row. We come down, let my grandpa post up because he's the last one down, and we're throwing him the rock. And he's going to work. One time was a hook shot, the other pump fake, little drop step, layup. And we're like, oh, hold up. Feed him the rock. And we're like, hey, D-Tard, you're getting cooked. We're just roasting my buddy that my grandpa is just going to work in the paint on this poor kid. 3 buckets in a row, and my grandpa's just bawling. And that's something my grandpa had done a lot growing up. He used to take my 2 uncles, his sons, he used to take my uncles down in Florida and the different areas when they were in high school and college, and they would go hustle people and win basketball games. Like, my grandpa would play with my 2 uncles who were like 6'3", 6'2". They would just go hustle people for pickup basketball. So my grandpa's used to pick up basketball, and you can tell he's feeling himself. After the 3rd or 4th bucket in a row that he made, he's backpedaling down the court, cracking jokes, laughing. Well, we're running him. Like, it's almost game point. We get a steal. My grandpa wasn't even halfway down the court after we had scored previously, so when we get the steal, he looks like he's going to be the outlet pass. I had just grabbed the ball, and I don't soon as look up to throw the outlet. All of a sudden, you see, whoom, smack. And you see my grandpa on the ground, his glasses go shooting across the basketball court, and this old dude that is watching us just like, you can see, he's just like, oh, shit. And I'm like, oh, damn. Like, I think my grandpa just lost his footing or whatever. So I go running down there. Well, my buddy GT, who's on my team, goes running down and just pop, drills Detard. What the fuck is wrong with you? He's an old man, you jackass. And even the 2 guys that were on Detard's team, they're going at him. What the fuck, dude? You just took out Tom's grandpa, and they're screaming at him, and I don't even know what happened. So I go over, help my grandpa up, because he walloped himself right on the back of the head. And we've got, Sports of All Sorts employees are running out with bags of ice, checking on him. My grandma, and my mom happened to be walking out of the bowling alley right as my grandpa falls. So they're talking to the guy that watched him fall, like making sure he's okay. And my grandpa's like, it's all good, it's fine. And my buddies are like full on in a fight over here. So I go over, break him up, and I'm like, what happened? So Detard is right behind my grandpa when we get the steal. When we change directions, my grandpa just puts the brakes on and starts backpedaling. Well, whether it was intentional or not, I don't know to this day. I don't know the truth of this. But supposedly Detard stuck his foot out and tripped my grandpa because he was trailing him. Because on the change of direction, he got caught out of position. He didn't want my grandpa to score on him. GT to this day swears Detard stuck his foot out and tripped my grandpa. Now, I don't know if that's true. My grandpa said I was backpedaling and tripped over his foot. He didn't do it on purpose. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's always variations to those parts of the story. But my grandpa was cooking. And then even after the blow to the head, once we were like done making sure he didn't have a concussion, he ended up finishing the game and we won. So shout out my grandpa for that. And that's one of those things. If you're a consistent follower around here, you know that I'm in the process of making a movie about my grandparents right now. And those are the type of stories that you just can't put into words what it's like having your grandparents grow up with you. And for me, it wasn't like it was just, a second set of parents as far as like the disciplinarian thing. It's hard to verbalize, but for whatever reason, me and my grandparents, we just bonded. They had always been close when I was growing up as a kid. And there was a certain point where it's like, yes, they're my grandparents and they're there to guide me and teach me and take care of me. But like, in all honesty, my grandparents, my grandpa especially, like, he's my best friend. And I can honestly say that. And it has nothing to do with anything but the fact that I think he's one of the funniest, coolest people that I've ever met in my life. He just happens to be my grandpa. So I'm just really thankful for my grandparents. And I would just say to anybody out there to find that type of relationship. It might not be with a family member, it might be with a good friend. And it's not that I don't have really good friends that I look at like just as close as my grandparents. But for me, my grandparents are kind of what I feel like is kind of the heart of everything that I've done in my life. And that relationship, because I do hang out with them so much, like they have so much more life experience for me. And yeah, they grew up in a totally different generation. But in between all of the great laughs and funny moments and entertaining things that they have done to make my life, I feel like a really enjoyable experience, I've also learned so much from them in pretty much every aspect as far as career, relationships, lifestyles, just every aspect of life that you can think of. My grandparents have taught me a lot just by being around and being present and allowing me to ask them questions, pick their brain, hear their story, So I would just say that if you find any interest in somebody else's story outside of your own, because I get it, right? Like we all, no matter how hard you try as a human being, we all think that we're going through the worst of it, or we think that our life is the most important, and that's just the reality of things. But if you can take an interest in somebody else's life, that for whatever reason, just to kind of see, like, okay, I like the way that he lives his life. I like the way that person lives their life. I like the way that they operate. Maybe there's some positive things I can take from that. I would really recommend it. And I mean, that's just the reason that my grandparents do mean so much to me, is because I've been able to learn a lot from them in between all of the great memories, laughs, and enjoyment. So that's my story on here today. My grandpa, a dominant pickup basketball player. I've got more pickup basketball stories from my grandpa. They all result in him falling on the ground, but we are undefeated in pickup basketball. So, Papa, I love you a lot. And if you guys could all take a minute, link in my bio if you're willing to donate to our upcoming film. It's going through a nonprofit production company, so we got to raise $25K, and I would really appreciate anyone who's willing to put any amount, even if it's just $1. It would mean the world. So, thank you all, and we'll be back with more episodes soon. Talks to Tom.
Taking shots by the lake till I can't even breathe no more, see no more. I was riding around town thinking to myself, is it gonna get